Yeah, could do that while we're warming up. That's fine. That's all good. What have you been playing more Diablo this week? Have you?
Yeah, just a little bit. I've been super busy. I played a bit yesterday, just like I don't know. Yeah, last night was on a couple hours, but that's kind of been. I think I played maybe an hour on Friday or something. But
Hey Timmer, you right? Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Yeah, it sounds like you had a bit of a busy week, bit of a hectic week. So, yeah,
it was such a shit week.
yeah. I feel
Such
you,
a
man.
shit week.
Swings and roundabouts, though. Hopefully, you've got a nice, easy week coming up now. I'm sure that's how it works.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
But yeah, nice.
Control room, share. Oh, and
Doesn't look like you've got
let me
your
fuck this up.
Discord issue this time. That was so weird last week.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
just had
Forgot
like
about
a
that. Yeah, that's good.
constant like 10-second delay. But obviously you haven't changed anything since those settings on the stream. So it's almost like you just had really shit like bandwidth or something for that period of time. I don't know if anyone else in your house
Maybe.
was soaking up.
No, there wasn't.
No, just had a hitch. Maybe Virgin or whoever you're with just had a bit of a not a good moment. Your voice is coming through
Although I
fine,
think I
but
did.
it just wasn't processing.
I think. Yeah, I think I did turn on like hardware acceleration, just to see how we got on. But I don't. I mean, I don't know. It could have been a CPU thing, but I don't fucking know, man.
I think generally speaking, you're supposed to have hardware acceleration off, aren't you, to improve performance?
That's not. It says on the thing you can turn it on if you want, and it might make things better.
Oh, okay.
if you have any problems, but a lot of recommendations online say sometimes you should turn it off because it can fuck with your settings.
Yeah.
It's probably got nothing to do with anything, but right. Okay, Tim, give me a vehicle.
A vehicle.
Yeah.
A limo.
Okay, give me a fruit.
A guava.
Why don't you come on down to the fun limo?
Yeah, dude, I said it, and your video's starting to fucking go again.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
You're delayed. Yeah. How odd.
About the sweet guava of Xbox news. This week, it's like ad libs. Is this going to make absolutely no sense to anyone?
Yeah, anyone new
on Twitter,
just anyone in general, no. Even our recurring.
Yeah. So this is so fucking weird. It doesn't make any sense. Unsubscribe.
Even Tim is going to be like, I don't even know if I want to retweet that one.
Yeah.
That's really bad.
He was right on it as well. He just did it. That was
yeah, he always is. Yeah, he pops in the second we go live. He retweets immediately. He's such a legend.
I'm gonna make a note to myself to do a full reboot. I don't know if I have done a full reboot since last week.
Yeah, probably is a good idea. And did you close and reopen all your apps and stuff like Discord updates, all that kind of stuff?
I did, yeah. I did that, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Maybe it's worth doing a full reboot, but yeah, because this has kind of just popped up out of nowhere. So you've had this laptop now for months. It's kind of just popped up in the last week. And especially since you actually changed the setting on the stream, but I don't see how that would have anything to do with the performance of your video and your laptop, because you're adjusting stream settings, how our viewers receive the stream. You're not hosting the stream in any way.
Yeah.
So
That is
if
true.
anything, it would affect me if I'm hosting the stream through OBS or whatever, and settings are changed. It shouldn't affect anything on your end, but
It's weird because I'm watching the video right now and like the actual video is coming through fine, but you're saying the video is just delayed. But last week it was like choppy. The video was like quite choppy.
Yeah.
If you remember. But
yeah.
it doesn't look like it is right now. So I don't know.
And you're not as delayed. Yeah, you're smoother and you're not as delayed. So it's an improvement, to say the least.
So
but,
strange.
Yeah. Potentially, if you got loads of shit open as well, just I don't know. You got loads of shit open, just try and close as much as you can as well, because not that I mean the laptop is, you got 16 gig of RAM, M1 MacBook. Oh no, 8 gig of RAM, 16 gig. I can't remember. Your laptop should be more than handle everything you have open, but.
Is there a Mac update? Is there? I think it looks like there's a Mac update, so I'll jot that down to do that as well.
Do that. Give
iOS update. I mean,
it's always good to restart your device at least once a week. I don't do it every single day. I'm not a psychopath, but once a week.
Okay. Well, we'll just have to crack on again for now. It's an unknown issue, I'm afraid, everyone. Don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we'll look into it. We'll get earlier next week and have a look.
Did you say it was happening in Discord?
Let me have a quick look. Do things.
Hi. Can't wait to speak about the FTC.
Yeah.
Can't wait to speak about Phil Spence. Okay, so it's coming through Discord as well.
Yeah.
So it's not even an OBS issue. It's something else.
Yeah. Indeed, it is.
But audio's coming through fine, yeah.
Yeah, audio's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Bucodic. Give that a go, I guess. All right. Well, I've turned on something. We'll see how we get on. I guess let's get this started. Otherwise, I'm gonna slice my fingers off.
Okay.
Trying to figure this shit out.
All right. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and I've just realized I don't even think that my tweet actually indicated that we were starting the podcast.
No.
I just spoke about limos and guava.
Yeah. It's not a great tweet. Not your best.
It wasn't clear. It wasn't clear the podcast is starting.
That's hilarious.
That's funny. All right. Are we jingling?
We are, yeah.
Lovely. Okay. Welcome back, everyone, to the QRP. That is Tim, and Deck is me. This is episode 103.
Oh.
Where you will come to see Xbox versus the FTC.
There's no way you just freeballed that. You must have wrote that down.
Actually, do you know what? I was actually like tossing up like a canned opening, like a lot of podcasts do. So that bit,
Yeah. Oh, I think we just had a little connection hitch, but we're back.
A lot of professional podcasts do that, don't they?
What, canned openings?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
They have like a thing that they open the show with. And I was like,
I quite like the fact that we just freestyle it, though, to be honest. But yeah, we could always do can. Yeah.
Do you know what? Do you know what this calls for?
It calls for a poll. With only Timber in the chat.
Opening.
There's a lot riding on your shoulders here.
you know, I should do it on Twitter because I actually get pretty decent engagement on polls on Twitter.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Well, we've got a lot to talk to you about today. It's been quite the week for Xbox, a secret Xbox showcase, you might even say, you know, with a particular AAA licensed Disney game getting announced as an exclusive, you know,
I'd say it's a showcase, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a secret showcase, you know, that's what it is. A secret itsy bitsy showcase. We've got some new Starfield details, we've got Game Pass prices going up, we've got the Idea Xbox show, we've got the FT versus Xbox, and a little bit more. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. We do this every week at this time. Most of the time, I'd say.
Yeah.
Tim, how's it hanging, dude?
Yeah, it's going all right. Yeah, can't complain. I'm hot and sweaty and bothered. And there is just something about. I mean, gaming is an all-weather kind of thing, but it's tougher when it's fucking 30 degrees outside. I feel like I just shouldn't be doing it, you know what I mean? I'm just like, should I be like using this weather more productively? But yeah, I mean, to be fair, I do get a decent amount of sun, so I think it's quite a nice contrast. Just stay inside a little bit.
I do feel like gaming is more of a rainy weather sort of activity.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense because other countries don't have rain that often.
Yeah.
But in the UK, where it's raining 70% of the year, it therefore feels like I need to be gaming in that 70% and not the other 30%. I'm with you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it just kind of just suits that sort of, rainy, cold sort of winter vibes, isn't it? A little bit more just from the fact it's indoors. It's an indoor activity. You can have like a cup of tea and just play and stuff like that, definitely. But yeah, no, I haven't actually been. It hasn't really been an Xbox week for me. I've actually been since Thursday, since Final Fantasy dropped. I've basically just been playing that, which is amazing.
Fantastic.
I'm absolutely blown away by it so far. I know there's this whole divide of Final Fantasy fans at the moment. Oh, it's not Final Fantasy. It's a Devil May Cry like sort of hybrid. It's not even an RPG anymore. But it's just like, I don't know, man. I like the step it's going into. It's taking almost like more of like a God of War approach to this entry of the game. It guides you a little bit more. It's a bit linear. The cutscenes are fantastic. The voice acting is fantastic. The combat is fantastic. But yeah, it's less. I hate this stamp that I feel like games have to do these days, where they just have to like tick a box to say it's fucking open world. So not every game has to be open world. Like, chill. It's fine. It's just this buzzword that's just everywhere in the gaming community. But yeah, thanks guys. Thank you. But I'm having a really, really good time with it. And I think that's exactly what Final Fantasy is. I think in my eyes, it's just good storytelling, good characters, and a good world. And I think it's established all of those things, like, as of now. And the combat's sick and it flows really well. So I'm having a great time with it, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I noticed there was obviously it's reviewed really well. It's still it's at an 89 on OpenCritic at the moment. But I have noticed kind of an undercurrent of people who feel quite strongly that it's not just maybe a direction for the series that they aren't thrilled with, but also they just feel that the game has quite a few shortcomings that they can't overlook. Whereas, like you're saying, you maybe feel like it's not really integral. The game doesn't lose that much because of some of those things.
I just think Final Fantasy, they differ with every entry, so it's fine to shake things up for an entry, just to be like, this is its story, this is how it's done, enjoy it for what it is. The next one, Final Fantasy Rebirth and stuff like that, they still have that hybrid action. Sorry if you can hear that, by the way. I don't know what the hell that is. It's just starting outside.
We can hear that.
That is extraordinary. Oh, it's a marching band. That's hilarious.
A marching band? Where the fuck are we?
Yeah, it's a marching band outside my window. Sorry about that. They'll pass.
That's
They'll pass.
fucking ridiculous.
But yeah, I think it's fine to just be like, yeah, it is what it is. You know, Rebirth is gonna have this like hybrid, you know, action combat with like slow down. You can still queue like abilities and moves and stuff like that. They're gonna do like a remake of like Final Fantasy 9, I think is Ruben next. That's gonna be much more turn based and tactical. Like I feel like they're covering their bases with other Final Fantasy games if you want that more typical, slower, more tactical vibe and a bit more open worldy or something like that. I think this one for what it is just I think it's great. You know, I think it's a breath of fresh air. And it will probably just be like a one and done, right? Story starts, story ends. You know, this is Final Fantasy 16. That's how they kind of work. It doesn't necessarily. What people are fearing is that every single game is going to proceed with this formula, and I don't think that's the case. Like Square Enix have showed that with most different mainline entries, they try something new, and they revert back, or you know, so it's people are just getting worried for no reason, and I think people need to chill out and enjoy it for what it is a little bit too, instead of being like the next 10 years is going to be like this. It's like, well, no one knows that, like, yeah.
Yeah, I've got to say, and I'm not to say that that's the only criticism that the game has, but I've got to say that it has been funny watching this kind of thing where people are like, I don't like it because it's not Final Fantasy. I've been like, oh, this is giving me some Halo flashbacks.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's like,
yeah,
I don't like it because it's not the thing that I think it should be. And it's like, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you. Enjoy it for what it is. At the same time, I do understand someone wants something to be a particular way. I get that, but you know, I think it's a bit. Those people are often the loudest, aren't they?
exactly. And yeah, for what this is, man, like the cutscenes, which are all like in game, by the way, are just insane. The graphics and the world, like, dude, this is like some of the best I've ever seen. I have this shit on frame rate mode at the moment. I've even got it on graphics. It's actually blowing me away. It's like Horizon Forbidden West levels of like quality, like graphically and stuff like that. Some of the detail in this game and how it looks. I don't think it's quite as good as that, but I'm saying it's one of the prettiest games I've seen for a very, very, very long time.
Well, that's pretty interesting because there was a bit of controversy with that as well because Digital Foundry did a breakdown on it. I haven't seen it. I've just seen some Twitter summaries and stuff. Where the performance mode drops the resolution pretty substantially and the frame rate fluctuates quite a lot. That's what they said. I don't know what your experience has
In
been.
some places, yes, because I don't want to spoil it, but some of the shit that happens on your screen at once in that game, like the icon battles and stuff like that, like the amount of effects and the amount of things going on, you just can't. Like it's just one of those things. I mean, I've seen, I don't know if it's bogus or not, but I've seen like reports of people saying like it's been overheating their PS5s, like the icon battle specifically, like when those start to happen, like people's PS5s actually have like genuinely overheated and like shut down. It's just a lot there. So yeah, there is some compromise there. For the most part, it seems pretty stable to me. I have noticed some fluctuations, yeah. And I think the actual hit it takes to resolution isn't that bad. I think the game is really, really pretty. I'm having a great time with it. I think this might knock Resident Evil 4 off its pedestal for my best game of the year so far. Not certain yet, but yeah, it's definitely in the top
well,
three.
To be fair, you haven't dug into Diablo that much. Diablo,
dude. It's the Icelandic knockoff.
Yeah, Diablo.
No, yeah. To be fair, I haven't. No, but I'd say probably my top three at the moment. Like, I know I haven't played an insane amount of Diablo, but I know that there's so much there, and I have enjoyed what I played. It probably is in my top three: Resi, Diablo, and Final Fantasy, and Hi-Fi probably nipping at the ankles of Diablo. But yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's really, really good. I'm having a great time with that.
I'm happy to hear it. You know, blessed be the year
Yeah, dude.
2023.
It's sad they didn't crack the 90s though. When like a couple reviews came in really late and knocked it to 89, I was like, would be nice for it to just be a 90, but
I know. Tell me about it. That's how I feel about Hi-Fi Rush. Still sitting there at 89. I'm still hoping
yeah.
someone's going to come along, like
Yeah.
half a year later, and give it a 10 out of 10 and bump it back up to 90.
Yeah, it'd be nice, yeah. Because these games do deserve to crack the 90. I know it's just a number or whatever, but it's just nice to see it. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Yeah, and it's interesting. As someone, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know my deal. Tim's the JRPG fan of the podcast. Not that I'm not. It's just not my typical wheelhouse. But I've been, from the previews I've seen, I haven't really watched that much, to be honest. I've just had this like sort of eyebrow raising interest in the last few weeks of like, I could go for an action game right now just to break up kind of the pace of Diablo, just every now and then, just an hour on, hour off, which I think a lot of people are quite enjoying that. Well, I know one of our friends is, hopping like between Street Fighter and Diablo for the same reason. So I've been thinking as well, like, I wouldn't mind giving it a go.
Yeah, go for it, man.
I'm not going to drop 70 quid for it on my PlayStation right now. But
they've got a good
They've
got a good demo, man. You could play the demo. Like it's genuinely like a few hours long. Gives you a good taste for the combat and stuff like that and story. And then if you're vibing with it, you could buy it later down the line, next paycheck. Or once I'm done with it, I put it on disc. I can just lend it to you if you want. I can just post it to you or next time I see you. Yeah.
Oh, that would be lovely. Yeah. I'm in no rush. And the thing is, by the time that happens anyway, we're going to be in Starfield territory. So it's kind of, I'm probably just going to stick to soaking up Diablo. But, maybe one day. It's just a shame that I didn't have it for like this particular moment when I'm like, particularly because I don't really play like action. I don't know. What do you call these sort of games? What would you call Devil May Cry?
Yeah, like an action hack and slash. Yeah. Something like that, I guess.
Yeah, like I don't typically play them that much. That's not because I don't enjoy them. It's just not. It's just not what I think to buy. I guess. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, cool. That sounds great. Glad you're having a nice time. I'm glad it reviewed well. Big congrats to the team. I've just been playing Diablo.
Yeah,
lots of Diablo. That game continues to be very good. The team has been putting out little patches and updates for things. The end game, I will still say, is just brilliant. It's really good. It's really engaging. The whole Paragon board is a little bit overwhelming at first, but once you get into the flow of it, it's a really nice way to keep the progression feel like it's still ticking on outside of the loop. Like you consistently have like a little stat bump every now and then, which makes you feel like you're moving in a direction, which is just amazing. And there's even like different boards which have legendary perks, which are actually like quite like, they're like quite substantial and unique upgrades per character, So I think that's all brilliant. I've had like a couple of uniques drop, which is, the next echelon of rarity. And that's always really exciting, and the way that the nightmare dungeons work is brilliant. And there's regular sort of world events. It's just really good. I'm like I said, I think I said last week, I'm continuing to enjoy the same build really because everything just looks good and runs well. Like the animations are good. It's just really crunchy. Just a lot of love and attention to detail is in the moment to moment gameplay of that game, which makes it not feel stale. So that's just been me when I've been getting a moment. It's very easy to hop in and out of, do a quick dungeon, tweak your build, have a look online, and just a lot.
And you can do these solo, these sort of things. You don't hop in with Caden and all that, like mates.
I do when they're around. Yeah, we do them together, but I can do them solo. If your build is good enough.
Nice.
Which there's quite a variety of endgame things. There will be something you can do. So that's been great. Nice. That's been great. There was a little bit of controversy about the how they're approaching the seasonal model. I don't know if you saw that, like with the battle pass is tied to your seasonal character.
Yeah.
So it's how it's always worked in Diablo, where when the new season starts, you make a new character for that season. You know, on the UI, it will say seasonal character, and you've got to make a new character for that, which
Yeah.
I don't mind. It's why they have not. They didn't start season 1 at the beginning, so everyone can just play on a main and whatever. I don't
Exactly.
mind that. I think that's okay to like make a new character and go through that journey again. And you know, you get these rewards, these cosmetics, which are then bound to your account or whatever it is. I think that's cool. I think that's fine. My problem is that the battle pass is also tied to that. When it's like you've already like, why do I need to? Why can't I not just get XP and level it up however I want? Like, you've already got my money. Like, why?
Yeah.
I don't.
You should be
understand
able to just approach the battle pass with any of the 5, 6 characters you've made, not necessarily even before the point of the seasonal character. That seems weird. I like you said, I agree with the whole seasonal character thing and how they didn't adapt it through. I actually quite like that. But yeah, I think I kind of do draw the line with the battle pass. I think that's a little bit weird. Yeah, not a huge fan of that. And it just means that, like, it really means that you just have to dump a lot of time into this game to get these seasonal rewards and these battle pass rewards and stuff like that. And it really has to kind of be the only game you're playing. And it's a bit daunting to me, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm with you. But I guess the bright side is that obviously it doesn't take away your main character. You can still play that. You know, you can, if you want to do that, you can still do that. But yeah, I'm totally with you. I don't think it's something we're going to see change for this season, but hopefully it's something that the team thinks about revisiting for future. Because especially when you look at like kind of because I even thinking about it, the stuff they did for Diablo 3, the seasonal stuff didn't just end up being cosmetic either. Like, I think they made like unique armor sets. They were like green rarity, weren't they? Where you get a unique armor set for the character that you do it with.
Yeah.
So like, it could end up being quite powerful stuff. Then you could, and then account bound, and you can take back to your main, I think, in the shared stash or whatever. Like, I assume that's the same sort of process. So it could be something, you know, quite meaningful stuff. And I guess that's fine. It's just the battle pass stuff that I think needs to be thought about a little bit more. Seems a bit restrictive.
Yeah, agreed.
But nonetheless, it'll be cool when it starts. I'm interested to see whether the games start getting updates and how they're going to approach events and, you know, updates and, you know, themes for like, you know, a couple of months. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that in this sort of game. And it really, I think they've done a really good job in making that game feel connected. Like at time, like when you're doing the world bosses, man, I know we did one in the beta, but I don't think it really got a sense for it. Like the camera like pulls back a bit and it starts to feel a bit MMO-y. And I mean that in a good way, like a complimentary way, because it's really seamless. And then like, you know, there's loads of people there. And the mechanics are all really like good on the bosses. You know, there's not this unavoidable shit. You know, you can dodge, you got to think about your positioning and your cooldowns of your moves. It's just good. It's just good. So yeah, I look forward to having you back on it. Really, you know, once you've finished Final Fantasy or whatever that is.
Yeah, it's
we'll
not. I don't think Final Fantasy's this is like an exceptionally long game either, so I think I'll be able to get through it relatively quick. But yeah, obviously I'm not going to rush it. And maybe I'll juggle both at the same time. But yeah, you know, I have been talking to Tilly about this as well, and I was just like, I would like to play Xbox more and everything like that. Not that she's been getting in the way of that. That's not what I'm saying, but like, just with work and everything like that, I've just been tired, and we end up just resorting to like watching TV sort of when I get back from work, sort of thing, just because I'm a bit tired. And I want to like actively try a bit harder, just to actually be like, yeah, let's play some Diablo like instead, you know, just not be lazy. So I love that, not be lazy, play games. But yeah,
I'm with you, but it's not necessarily about the energy though or the output. It's about like what you're doing and what's important to you, isn't it? You know, it's like a value thing. It's like, I have a good time watching TV, but it's not what I want to do. You know, I find playing games valuable, or playing stuff with my friends valuable.
I end up watching a lot of weird.
I'm totally with you.
YouTube videos, just cause, like, I'm running out of things to watch.
Just like driveling.
Yeah, but I'm too lazy to fucking still play games. Yeah.
Dude, do you do that? Like, I find myself, I don't have TikTok or whatever, but I do have, like when I'm on YouTube, whatever, like, you know, it throws shorts into your feed now. So I will like, it will play me a short, and then I get into this pattern of like just going through shorts, and like after doing it for like 5 minutes, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
What the fuck am I doing? Like, I need to stop this. And it's not because there isn't enjoyable content there. It's just, I was saying this to Beth, a lot of people get a lot of enjoyment out of doing that. You know, they can laugh at their phone for hours. That's fine. It's not aligned with my values of like watching YouTube shorts. It's like, so it's more like I want to spend this time doing something which is important to me, like playing a game or spending time with Fox or, you know, getting to do stuff for the show. Do you know what I mean? So it's less about like what I'm doing and that it's not enjoyable. It's just, it's not in line with what I want to do with my time.
Yeah.
Even though I find myself getting stuck on it, like, oh my God.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just this constant feed of content kind of just starts to numb your brain, and you just keep flicking up. Yeah, it's weird.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Scary.
It's very scary.
All right, then. Let's get into the show, big boy.
All right.
I think this is fun. I've been, because I've had such a fucking miserable week. My notes have been very slim. We'll be fine. If there's anybody in chat that wants to add something or something that has happened this week that you'd like us to talk about, of all weeks, please let us know this week, because my notes haven't been great, so we might miss something. I'll pin it if it's something really important, especially as we get into this sort of FTC stuff, because so much interesting stuff has been said there, Tim. And it's like peek behind the curtain stuff, history of Xbox and PlayStation, you know. So it's probably the first time in like, I don't know, maybe 20 episodes that we're actually going to have like a proper conversation around the ABK stuff, because like this is it, basically. It's coming down to this, you know, if it if they win against the FTC, it's looking like Xbox are just going to close, and then they'll sort out CMA later. And if they don't, if the FTC grants the injunction, so an extension, the Xbox will have to pay a fine, and they'll just say, fuck this, we're not doing this, and then they'll have to drop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that will be by July 18th.
Yeah.
So, and there's only a couple, the final hearings will be on next Thursday. So really, we're in the end game. I know, I feel like we've said that before, but we're in the final end game. The end game, you know.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so a couple of honorable mentions. Just wanted to call out that a lot of the first-party games shown at the showcase are now available for pre-install, and I just thought that was quite cute. South of Midnight, Towerborn, Vowed, Starfield, Clockwork Revolution, and Forza Motorsport are all available for pre-install.
Pre-install? That's crazy. As if they have a file size ready to go for that. That's weird.
Okay. Yeah, I don't actually know.
It's probably not a pre-install. It's one of those pre-installs that's like you just
one
you just download the fucking picture that comes with it. Yeah. But yeah, I guess it's a nice little touch, isn't it? Yeah. I
wonder why they do that. I wonder if it's just to like gauge interest, like preliminary. You know, how much interest is there? You know.
Yeah, probably, and it's probably just a way of it keeps it in people's mind, right? As well, like they see it in their games and apps, and like, oh yeah, I remember that, yeah, you know, like that. So it's not like they don't have to dig through the store or have something social media related in their face to remind them of the game. You know, they can see the tile on their games and apps.
Yeah, it's a fair point. And also perhaps like comparable to like pre-order data that publishers usually use, you know, like, oh, pre-orders are doing really well, but likewise I can say pre-installs really well because it's Game Pass and it's a different model, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably all those things.
I think so, yeah.
Next up, Todd Howard went over to the Kind of Funny interview. What the fuck did I just say? Todd Howard went over to the Kind of Funny XCast, you know, the Xbox show over there with the guys, and they did a good interview. Although I will say, guys, I think you missed I think you asked some silly things. You know, a bit of feedback. I'm not being mean. I think this was a 7, maybe 6 out of 10 interview. It's no Phil Spencer interview that was an 11 out of 10. You know. What would you, Tim, if I turned up one day and I was like, 5 minutes or so, Todd Howard's popping on the call. We're just going to have a bit of back and forth for the hour. He's got an hour, so we'll do a Q&A with him.
Yeah, I'd panic a lot. I wouldn't know what to say, if I'm honest. I'd probably ask him like what hair products he uses.
Where'd you get your coats, man? Where'd you get your leather coats?
Yeah, where'd you get those fucking Bomberman
They're beautiful.
jackets? Is that what they call them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Bomber man.
No, what do they call them? Is it just bomber jackets? It's something.
Yeah, bomber jacket. Yeah.
That's it.
I do
yeah.
like the idea of a bomber man jacket though.
Yeah.
That makes me quite happy.
There's some good merch opportunity there for the Bomberman IP.
So, sorry, I'm just replying to Tim.
Oh.
Can you? That was hard to say. Can you just go over get you on the bit on the nose?
Yes, I am. Yeah. What the screenshot? Yeah, about what they
That's the one. Just
yeah,
go over
what
that
they asked,
point
yeah.
by point for me.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So, from the interview, a couple points came out of it. Apparently, about 10% of the planets in Starfield will have life on them, mimicking the Goldilocks zone. I don't know what the fuck that is. Planets can have multiple different biomes. No rovers or ground vehicles. Jetpacks will get you around quickly. Kind of expected, but I think we did actually touch on this, didn't we? We talked about like would there be ground vehicles? I remember. Constellation crew members are awesome and can be romanced. Classic, you would expect that. We'll have a big font mode for accessibility, and ships have to be registered before they can be customized. Yeah, I think the big one here is, and the one I've seen the most headlines for, is obviously about the 10% of planets are going to have life on them. So what, this game was said to have 1,000 planets, 10% of them life on them, so 100 planets that have life. I think people got a little bit triggered by this, a little bit, I've seen. But then I think also some rationality.
Some bad faith people did.
Yeah, I think some rationality is also being put to it, because when you actually think about going to 100 different planets and actually give it some thought, and all of them having some kind of life on them, like maybe a different alien race or something like that, or a quest on them or anything like that, that's a lot. Like 100 planets. It's a lot. It's still a lot. So yeah, it doesn't. I mean, how do you feel about this? I'm guessing you're completely fine with it. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I can't lie. The number was lower than I thought it would be, but I don't think it's inherently a bad thing. I mean, like you said, if we're assuming there are 100 planets with at least one different species in all of them, we're already looking at 100 different alien, wildlife variations. Like, you tell me a game with 100 different enemy variations, it's not that common. And that's only assuming there's one wildlife. If we're talking about 3 or 4, we're talking about 3. So in terms of enemy variety, I don't think there's a big problem there. In terms of like exploration, which planets have life and which planets don't. Like, we saw it in the thing. You don't have to visit planets, and that's also not to say life isn't going to be the only thing of interest on planets. I would imagine. I think there's going to be some really interesting environmental stuff that they're doing, right? Go and investigate this planet with giant storms. Go and investigate this giant planet with ruins on it. Go and investigate this planet with, treasure. I don't fucking know. There's endless things that could make another 300, 400 planets worth visiting that isn't life.
So you think storylines will still be tied to planets that don't have life on them necessarily?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay.
I think that's part of it is the realism that they were going for, even though that's obviously like there is not life on 10% of planets that we know of, but they wanted to fluff it up to something that's a more fun,
it's plausible,
level. And that's what it says in the tweet, mimicking the Goldilocks zone. The Goldilocks zone is when the environment is just right to create life. And very few planets fit into the Goldilocks zone. So they tried to have 1 in 10 is what they were going for. Which is fine, I think, because hopefully, like I said, I think there's a lot of ways, like the space around planets. Are they going to be bandits on planets? And I guess it depends how you're defining the question. With life on them, are we talking about wildlife, or are we going to find space colonies on 50 other planets? Are we going to find bandits trying to mine some other planet? Are we going to find pirates setting up a base or hollowing out? There's so many other things that don't necessarily mean we're not talking about wildlife. I kind of just trust the team on this one. I think they chose that number specifically. I don't think they would have gone with 1,000 planets thinking they could fill 1,000 planets with life. I think that kind of, and also that would then start to not really feel like a NASA punk space game where it's like the the early part of space exploration. It would start to feel like we're in kind of fictional, like far gone territory. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. They're trying to add an element of plausibility to it, and they're trying to be a bit more rational with it. Although it's a very unrational game, obviously, but like they're just not going absolutely crazy with it to the point. Yeah, it feels too much. Yeah, I wasn't too bothered with this personally. I still think this game is going to have heaps and heaps and heaps of content and things to do. You don't necessarily need to find a new form of life or a new storyline or a new like choice to make on a planet for it to be necessarily engaging. I feel like the game can engage you in lots of other ways. And yeah, I think at this point, I think from what we've seen of it, and from what this means to the Xbox IP, I kind of trust what they're doing with it. I'm kind of in the same boat with you. Yeah.
Brilliant. So not a big deal. And
No.
I will say again, like this is like, it feels very intentional. I think they want the galaxy to feel like have a sense of emptiness and isolation to it. When there hasn't ever been a single player Bethesda game that hasn't been stuffed to the brim with too much content. And it was funny because Pete Hines, I think, again, community manager, marketing director, I can't remember which he is for Bethesda, when he was on the stand for the FTC, when describing Starfield, called it irresponsibly large.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's such a funny way to put it.
Yeah. I'm not worried about this whatsoever. If you just want to go to planets where there's life so you can just dome every bit of wildlife you see, you can do that. You know where life is. If you want to go to some planets where it's a bit quiet, a bit suspicious, you want to get some resources, oh, that's a beautiful tropical planet, I want to build a house there, you can do that. If you want to set up a cargo thing between multiple planets, you can do that. It's so I'm not really seeing the problem here. And if you were really going to break it down into numbers and maps, I'm just saying, Zelda's the thing I've played recently, so that's just coming to mind. Like the enemy dispersion across the map, per square meter, probably is around the same. 10% of the map is probably filled.
Yeah.
There's a lot of empty space, in Zelda, and it's meant to be spaced. It's intentional. It's intentional, and it works for the most part for the game.
Yeah, it'd be exhausting if all you were doing was clicking on ads and talking to people and the quest popping up and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it'd be exhausting. Sometimes it's nice to just, take in the scenery of a planet and, like you said, just be like, oh, this one's all like stormy and weird and the biome's off and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it kind of makes sense to me, and I'm not worried at all or anything like that. And obviously that leads on to the other point of planets can have multiple different biomes, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's pretty exciting to think that a single planet can be large enough to host like different biomes on it, to the point where it kind of feels like its own, just that planet kind of feels like its own like in-game map, I think that's quite exciting, definitely. And that might host that those different sections might host different wildlife, or all that sort of stuff. Or I think that's quite exciting. And to be honest, I never even thought about it as well. I just kind of assumed one planet, one atmosphere. Like it'd be the same thing. This is jungle planet. This is snow planet.
Ice planet. Yeah,
exactly.
Desert planet.
And I was like, oh, actually, no. It's kind of cool to think that it will have loads of different things. Yeah. So that was quite cool to like picture in my brain after I read that. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, no, I thought that was really cool as well. There's something else I've realized that wasn't here, probably because it's the next most interesting thing. He was asked if there are black holes in the game.
Yeah.
and he passed on the question. He said, pass," which makes me think that there will be, this kind of galactic phenomena, going on, and that stuff that we haven't even really spoken about yet.
Mm.
And so Tim's already read the list out.
Yeah.
But like I submitted a question to the Kind of Funny crew, to us. That's how they were taking questions from the community. And my question was, can you ask him specifically how going from space to planet works? Like specifically, how does it work? Like we know we're not flying into the atmosphere,
Mhm.
but like, are we just opening our map and clicking fast travel? How's it working? Like, I want to know. I want to understand that.
Yeah.
And also, where are we flying? Like, are we just flying around a planet? Like, is it planet and then space around planet? Is that the two options, or is there? Because it doesn't look like we're free flying between planets. It looks like there's like areas of space that we can go to.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know. That's what it looks like. That's what, and I would have liked that to have been answered. I feel like that's a massive question mark.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of know what you mean. Yeah, they're both pretty good. Pretty good points. They did touch on the fact of how it works landing on planets, though, didn't they? They did touch on the fact that it isn't just free land everywhere. You kind of fly near the planet, and then you get to select points of the different planet you might have unlocked that you can dock at and stuff like that. I swear they did touch on that at some point quite early on.
They have, but it was still left quite vague. All we know is that you don't fly in the way you do in No Man's Sky. You don't fly through the atmosphere. There is like, you like load and it animates you down onto the planet. But I don't, and we've seen the menu of them picking where to dock on the planet. But I don't. Again, like, do you have to fly to a certain point, or I don't know. Like, I just don't know. Or like I said, can you just open your map at any time once you're in the area and then you click fast travel? Okay, done.
Go to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good questions. Yeah.
So yeah, cool. It all sounds good. I'm excited to hear more. Obviously they teased the end of the showcase with more space magic stuff. I assume we're getting into the ramping stage. And I will say, I'm seeing this game fucking everywhere now. It's on buses. It's when I'm filling my car up. There's a Lucasade promotion there.
Yeah.
I'm like, can't escape it. Can't escape Starfield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah, I'm seeing it as well. Yeah, it's good.
It's only June. Yeah. So lovely. Alrighty. What time are we on? 5. So, Game Pass prices and Xbox prices are going up. Game Pass prices are going up everywhere across the world. Xbox prices are going up.
Mm-hmm.
Xbox is going up pretty much everywhere except America. So I'm going to leave that with you. I'm just going to quickly turn my camera off because I really need to get another drink. I wouldn't turn my camera off, but I'm wearing boxers.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of guessed you didn't need to.
Sensitive content.
Yeah, no, you didn't. Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay. Yeah,
There's going to
cool.
be 2 Tims.
Go do it. Go get your. Oh, it's 2 of me again. I forgot this happens.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, right, be right back.
Yeah. So the whole Games Pass price going up. I'm not sure on the exact numbers on this. All I remember is seeing. Maybe Dex got it here in the notes. I think this is something we've all seen coming, right? I feel like we've talked about this like on the podcast and you guys in the chat as well. That eventually, I think everyone did see this was going to happen. With the amount of new IPs and effort Xbox is putting into their first party studios and stuff like that for the future, and even the latter end of this year with Starfield and stuff like that, and Hellblade coming next year. I think it was just a matter of time before you kind of see this happening. Like I said, I'm not exactly sure on the price increase, but it doesn't surprise me. And in all honesty, yeah. So when Deck pauses his camera, there's 2 of me. You're not seeing double. You're not drunk, David. Although this podcast would probably be more enjoyable if you were drunk. So go grab a beer.
I love it so much. I love that it's like inverted, so you're like talking to yourself, and there's a bit of a delay. It's so fucking fun.
It's like that Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other. No, I was basically just saying that the whole Games Pass thing is not a surprise, really, right? I said that we've talked about this on other episodes, and we basically knew it was going to happen at some point. With how
Yes.
they're sort of progressing their first party studios and IPs and stuff like that. The fact is, with more quality, it's going to come with more costs, and they're going to need to eventually start charging users more. It gets to a point where there'll just be too much value in Games Pass, and you're going to need to up that subscription. So, it doesn't surprise me, and I think this is probably about the right time to do it as well, with all the hype of games coming out latter end of this year and early next year and stuff like that. So I think potentially you could have waited a little bit, maybe to jack up the price, to actually have the confidence installed in the people first, like release games, the games review well and people like them, and then increase the price, rather than people still don't know how these games are going to sort of launch and increase the price before it even happens. you know so But no surprise regardless.
Yeah, I'm with you on the second point. There is kind of a sense of like, okay, you had a great showcase, well done. You still need to put out some good games, like some more bigger games. Good games. You still need to put out these, and they need to be hits. Like this was great, but it hasn't restored for a lot of people. It hasn't restored confidence lost following Redfall. I know it probably wasn't done for that reason, because they were like, "Oh, we had a good showcase. Let's up the." It probably was not that. There's probably a lot of reasons going in, but there's definitely a feeling that, well, hang on a minute, like, can you not? I wouldn't have been surprised to have seen it go up like after Starfield. 2 weeks pass. Wow, there's been 40 million players in the first 2 weeks. All these massive numbers, 90 plus Metacritic. Okay, bang, price is going up, because this is the quality you can expect going forward. I feel like that would have been a more coherent message to send. But the flip side is that they did say, when the ABK was announced, "Oh, well, don't worry, we're not going to increase the price as soon as the ABK closes. We're not going to do that." I don't know why they said that. So there's a sense of like not wanting to, contradict themselves. So it's like, "Oh, let's put it up now," so that we don't get caught out and catch the optics, bad optics for it. So
I don't think it's an awful time, but I think the important thing is there's still not a huge amount of faith in the Xbox IP right now, the Xbox brand. Faith is coming back, and people are starting to think like there's a lot cooking here, but there's no actual major evidence or anything. There's still a lot of will to gain back, but regardless, I don't think it's an awful time to do it, but I think it could have been better timed, with some more actual things under their belt first. But yeah, it's gonna happen. So
yeah. And don't get me wrong, this isn't us excusing it. Like, of course, we'd rather that things didn't go up in price. And I think people often will be like, well, like, oh, $1 trillion company. And it's like, yes, don't disagree. Capitalism sucks. The hierarchy is top loaded. It's fucking bollocks. Yeah, no, I get it. All things considered, still a pretty good deal. I'd say still a very good deal. And I put up a price chart, Tim, just under the notes. I knew I'd taken a picture of it somewhere. So
here we go. I was looking for this because I wasn't certain on what it's increasing to. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So not only that, for us in the UK, Tim, just for sake of ease of reading, it's gone up by £1. Normal Game Pass is going up by £1 a month. Game Pass Ultimate is going up from £8 to £9, or £7.99 to £8.99. Ultimate is going up from £10.99 to £12.99, so £2. Really small increases.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's not too bad, is it?
The Ultimate thing does surprise me a bit. Maybe because they're not, as we're finding out from this FTC case, they're not making money on cloud right now. And Ultimate obviously encompasses cloud. You get EA Play as well. There's maybe a couple of other benefits there that I'm missing right now. But I will say, because I've still got my conversion deal going, until I think the beginning of 24.
Mm.
When that time comes, I might consider going just to normal Game Pass, like £13 a month. As it is right now for me, I don't know if I need that cloud streaming. Maybe I will at the time.
Mm.
It's something I'll definitely evaluate. And I think that can be the problem, can't it? That when prices go up, people suddenly start to think, do I need this?
Yeah.
Because that's definitely what I'm doing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I kind of agree. Yeah, I mean, it kind of, yeah, obviously it's completely dependent on the individual and their financial situation and how they're going to use it. To me, looking at the price, it's not a huge deal. It's $10.99 or it's $12.99, right? It's £2 in it. It's not absolutely massive. Obviously, that does add up for people that it's quite tight. But yeah, generally speaking, not huge price increases across the board. I mean, from £7.99, which is essentially £8 to £11, it's a £3 increase, which is off the original price of £8, £3 is it's like 30% increase. It's actually a fairly large increase when you think about it.
What are you talking about? Normal Game Pass is going from $7.99 to $8.99.
Oh, is it going from $8.99? Oh, okay, I'm reading it wrong. Sorry. Okay, yes, it's going up by £1. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was reading it wrong. Yeah, I was being dumb. Okay, yeah. So it's pretty good.
It's essentially £1 for normal Game Pass, £2 for Ultimate. And just for our American listeners, that's the equivalent for you from $14.99 at the moment on Ultimate to $16.99 and $9.99 on normal Game Pass, base Game Pass to $10.99.
Yeah.
I think this also kind of reflects other things that, but they're still toying with the family plan, which they haven't put out. They're still trialing it. There's a perfectly good chance that they might not go ahead with it, but maybe there is a sort of a sense of like, if we put the prices up, it's going to incentivize people to get into the family plan. And a family plan, while it's a good saving, is more likely to trap people in an ecosystem. It's more likely to trap multiple people in an ecosystem, if you see what I mean, because then they'll all be paying for it together, or however it works.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think that's ultimately the goal, isn't it? Is to get people in and keep the retention, isn't it? So, yeah, it's probably quite a smart pricing model. And yeah, the jump up in price is nothing scary. I don't think it's going to deter anyone. Let's be real. With the sort of games coming out at the end of this year and what's scheduled for next year, I don't think the increase of £1 or £2 for Ultimate is really going to scare people off, right?
Definitely. And I was thinking, I was thinking about this the other day with Ben, because you were saying you were going to lend him your Series S to play Starfield when it comes out. Presumably he will get Game Pass to play it for a while.
Yeah.
Because there's no disc drive anyway, or buy it at the store. I don't know. But he could subscribe to Game Pass for 6 months and it would still come out cheaper than buying the game full,
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think that's still a pretty fantastic trade-off,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. When you actually do the maths on it, yeah. And if you're putting time aside, you could probably get your hours worth in Starfield in a few months, even if you take your time with it, if it's the only game you're playing. And then that leaves you with a couple months or a few months spare to try out other things, right? At the cost of just buying that one individual game, just by itself, right? So, yeah, it's still a good deal, and there's still like crazy value there. So, yeah, not a big deal.
Yeah. Okay. So, moving on. This happened earlier in the week. I just wanted to touch on it. Whatever anything 343 does is really loud because the Halo community is constantly just rage. You're full of rabies. And they essentially said that for now, they're not going to be doing seasonal narrative cutscenes because they're going to move their priorities to other things. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, it just started getting interesting." And I was like, yeah, "Listen here, fuckers! You literally called for the team to be fired. Look at you reaping what you sow." You know,
Yeah.
like yeah. So there is an annoyance there. I do understand that people weren't fired because randos on Twitter were calling for it, and that it came from, probably poor performance of the overall game in the service side, or the monetization. Nonetheless, it's a bit irritating to see the same people complain about stuff like this being dropped for more important stuff as well. Let's keep it clear. It will go towards system changes and the sandbox and everything, to then complain about this. So for now, no biggie, I don't think. But to be fair, the cutscenes always looked very good. They're visually very good. I don't know who was doing them, but they always looked very good.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it's a shame, but it makes way for more important stuff to be added to the game. At the end of the day, so it's not a problem. And yeah, it's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah,
they're nice to haves, right? At the end of the day,
definitely. Okay. There is an Idea Xbox show going on with IGN on July the 11th. This kind of flew a bit under the radar. And I also think this is very cool that Xbox are still doing these Idea Xbox shows, because I imagine this is where we're going to see things like Hollow Knight and maybe replaced, these games that we thought were probably going to see it at the show. Blasphemous 2. I imagine we'll see these here, and I think that's really cool because it allowed the show to shine on the first party stuff. And they didn't need an indie sizzle reel, because they're going to give you your own show. Do you like these Idea Xbox kind of shows?
I do.
Xbox? What's your thought about Idea Xbox?
Yeah, no, I do. I actually quite like these, and I think it's quite cool too. When was the last time we got an Idea Xbox? You know that? Or...
I don't have a bloody clue. Probably last year. I feel like they do one every year.
Yeah, but no, they're always good fun. And these sort of games have been on the rise for such a long time. Like you said, like Hollow Knight. Maybe like Blasphemous 2. Things like that. We might see Hades 2 here as well. Those sort of games. These are absolute bangers. And yeah, it's really exciting. No doubt we'll probably see like Cocoon, that game that's coming out. That looks good.
That's a great shout.
Yeah, like there's a lot of potential here, and there's so many games, and I think it's right to. I would have liked to to the point where I was kind of looking forward to seeing these actually at the main showcase, because there's a lot of good titles here. But like you said, there's no need to. Not necessarily clutter it, because I feel like that's doing it a disservice, but like just leave it sort of AAA for the studio for the showcases, and then have their own sort of showcase to just do these sort of games. And yeah, 100%, I'm going to be tuning into this. There's some absolute bangers that come out of these, and I think they're really fun. Yeah, I like them.
Great. And it's interesting because they've been experimenting with the format of Idea Xbox, which as kind of an initiative has been brilliant, in getting lots of indie games off the ground. A lot of I think it's really well respected in the dev community. For a while, they did those shitty Twitch streams. I don't know if you remember them. They lasted for ages, and there was this poor host that just had to be sat down for like 6 hours and like ask these poor indie devs questions as they came on one after the other. It was quite painful. So I'm glad it seems like they're doing a bit more of a showcasey approach. Maybe I'm wrong, and it will be the IGN team streaming for 6 hours, but I hope not. I think they need to condense this a bit more. So I'm with you. I'm sure we'll see some good stuff there.
Hollow Knight release date? Question mark.
We'll see. Quake 2 Remastered appears to have leaked, which is a bit of an interesting one. We had the Quake 1 remaster last year, maybe. There's like a 4K with a couple extra bells and whistles of the original Quake. I played it for a bit, actually.
Yeah.
I've probably got like 5 hours of gameplay in it. Don't know why. Just kind of fancy playing a boomer shooter just to see what it was all about, get a sense for what Quake kind of is.
Mm. What do you think?
It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I like the tone, quite spooky, very gothic. Obviously very Doom-like. Quite hard to distinguish the two other than the tone.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
It's likely this will be another multi-platform game. Falls into this kind of legacy category that Phil would always speak about when the Bethesda acquisition went through, and it ties really nicely into the whole FTC discussion, which we'll crack open now. So I suppose I'll just ask you first, Tim. Is there headlines have you seen? What anything that you've seen at all come out of this over the last happened on Thursday and Friday?
The main headlines I've seen are that like sort of end date thing, and the whole like will it, won't it, and they're probably going to back out if it doesn't happen. And then the AAA leak reveal thing. That's basically it. I still don't like talking about this, but this is the most interesting it's been for a while. So yeah, but yes, I've seen a couple headlines, but nothing too extensive. No.
Cool. It's been interesting. We've had Philly cheesesteak on the stand. We've had Matt Booty up on the stand. Sarah Bond's been up there as well. And the sense from the community, is that there hasn't really been much of a precedent. The CMA have really nailed in on the cloud. At first, they were worried about consoles, and then they were like, actually, nah. It's cloud. It's definitely cloud. Look how scary cloud is. And you're going to just make everything exclusive to your cloud. And, oh, look, you're not doing that. It doesn't matter, though. It's still too much. So the general sense from the community is that the FTC does not have much to work with. The popular legal bodies following this on Twitter feel the same way. It's a bit of a bubble, so I don't really know. I did get a chance to tune in and listen to a little bit on Friday night when Phil was up, and Phil is there's a smart cookie.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. He knows his business. He's not head of Xbox for nothing.
He's just a nice guy, isn't he? Head of Xbox is being a nice guy.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. He actually got promoted straight out of like IT support. They were like, just give him head of Xbox. He's a nice guy.
Yeah. They're like the first of you to swallow this Xbox controller whole next year of Xbox. You've really got to show us you can do it.
Yeah. And he did. He did do it.
You might be in A&E for the next 2 days as they saw it out, but you would have proven to me that you love the brand.
Saw it out. It's horrible.
With a battery pack. Yeah.
God.
So, the reason I say this is because he and the rest of the crew did really, really well, I feel, to kind of defend themselves. There was times, to be honest, where the FTC were just talking a complete load of shit.
Really?
From my perspective, the points that they were making. So the thing is, in the whole case, the only thing that they yapped on about for all of Thursday and half of Friday was how it's going to damage PlayStation. And there's this kind of conversation going on that the word consumer or competition was mentioned like twice. It wasn't like, can you explain to us how this is going to increase competition or how consumers benefit as a result? There it was like, can PlayStation withstand this? What do you? And like it was just crazy. Like at one point, the guy was just like, "Oh, do you promise to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation? Like, he said, that was the word for word what he said to Phil. He was like, do you
Really?
promise? Do you pinky winky swear on your mum's life?
That's hilarious. What?
Crush your heart, hope to die. Stick a needle in your eye.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's under oath, obviously. That's like, whatever the system.
Yeah.
So it's meant to be some sort of, binding kind of thing. But he did, Phil was like, yeah, I will do everything. And this is the thing, because then it starts getting into this, which is what Phil has said all along. He was like, I will do everything in my power to make sure COD stays on PlayStation.
Mm.
And he was like, oh, everything in your power. I was like, yeah. I mean, one day I'm not going to be CEO. That's not my job anymore. Like I don't know. And then like the FTC would like change the angle a bit, and they'd be like, do you promise to put all ABK games on PlayStation? And Phil was like, that wasn't the question. Like, I can't promise that, because ABK make games for mobile. I'm not going to make mobile ABK games for mobile and PlayStation. Like, I can't make that blanket agreement. And they'd be like, yeah, okay, yeah. I think the point's been made. Like, this is like genuinely the guy was like really proud of himself for trying to make the point that Phil could not commit to putting all ABK games on PlayStation like indefinitely,
even though it's like physically not possible in some scenarios. Because they're literally like,
it would be
iOS,
brain dead
Android
to make that
platforms.
commitment. Yeah. It would be absolutely idiotic to make any sort of commitment like that. They can commit to Call of Duty because it's a software that has a precedent of already running on all consoles, so nothing changes in the process. And then we got to the end of it as well, of this whole thing, and he was like, he sat down, and then he was like, oh, actually, can I ask one more thing? And the judge was like, no, press. She was like, okay, make it quick. And he gets back up and he goes, can you promise, again, for this whole promise thing, can you promise to put all ABK games on PlayStation's cloud? And the judge was like, I don't need that. Sit down.
That's insane.
Like, what are you doing? Like, Phil didn't need to answer. The judge was like, that is a stupid question. Sit down.
Can you promise that all this money you're spending is a complete waste of time and resource? And essentially, there's no point in you buying this. That's basically what it fucking is. Is that what they want? I don't understand. There has to be some benefit to someone purchasing ABK. Like, it's like they're just like, yeah, you can purchase it for the ridiculous sum of money, but you will receive no benefits. Promise me. So,
and there will be no additional competition in the market.
It's insane. Like, oh my god, man, it's so stupid. I'm glad the judge shut it down though. That sounds hilarious. I kind of would have liked to hear that. I don't know if there's a clip of it anywhere, but
and there was another time, like throughout all of this, especially with the console theory of harm stuff, that being that if they foreclose stuff, particularly Call of Duty, it could damage PlayStation. You could tell Phil was starting to get a bit pissed off. He was starting to, like, at one point, he asked about the Call of Duty thing, and Phil was like, yep, that's always been our agreement. Yes, I promise I'm going to do everything I can. And like I said, the FTC guy was trying to make it like, oh, so you can't like make it, you can't bind the corporation right now. He's like, no, I promise I'm going to do that as much as I can. So that was a statement under oath, which, that's still a pretty big deal. Like, if it ever came out that Phil then in an email had an opportunity to not put it on PlayStation and took it, that would be an offense, So it's still, to make it, so, and then afterwards, it just sounded like he was scrambling for ideas. He was like, and what about Diablo? What about Diablo? Can you promise to keep that as well? Like, he didn't. That just seems like such a weird thing to ask for, like, if you're like a lawyer coming in to try to press, like, you don't say Call of Duty and then ABK. You're like, and what about Diablo? Mm-hmm. What about World of Warcraft? What about Overwatch? What about Candy Crush? Like, well, we're just going to go through every single IP. Like, what was the goal? And Phil's similar response, he said, was like, well, I could promise, but that wasn't the question.
Yeah. How many promises they want this fucking man to make? It's ridiculous.
Crazy. And I will say there is obviously some very clever framing going on here. The team has been, briefed on this, on what to say for certain things, the way that they're framing
Mm-hmm.
certain things. Like, to me, it sounds very clear the team has no intent of keeping any other ABK games on PlayStation.
Mm.
They're not willing to commit to that. Like, they are skirting around that, and that's never been a real problem. Like, it's been brought up by some regulators that World of Warcraft is quite big and Overwatch is quite big, but they're not.
It's always
Xbox
just
are
been
not
COD.
willing. Yeah, they're not willing to bind themselves to, like, we will keep these on other platforms for the next 10 years. And there were multiple instances where they would very cleverly word something or reframe the question to keep it vague or to keep it open, that they could make future Overwatches exclusive, future Diablos exclusive, any of the other big IPs, which I thought was quite interesting, because the reports have been a bit mixed, hasn't it? That there has been kind of a sense that maybe they will just keep all of the other big IPs, multiplayer. Maybe they just will kill most of ABK multiplayer. Maybe they don't really care and they just want to siphon the money from COD and Candy Crush to get into mobile. And maybe some of the Blizzard stuff would be down the line. I mean, what do you think of all of this kind of exclusivity bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely want to keep a large portion of it exclusive. I think you're right. I think they're skirting around the questions and phrasing everything very, very carefully. But yeah, I mean, I do think obviously he's made multiple promises. It's been made from the start very clear that they do want to keep COD multiplayer. They do want to keep probably some other things multiplayer as well, because that's just, it's more income, right? It's funding. You're gaining more profit out of it to keep it on multiple platforms, including existing games as well. To pull those, you'll be making less money, you'll be making less profit, and it's just all that will feed into future projects and all that sort of stuff. So I do think it's a bit of both, really. At the end of the day, it will be a bit of both, and I think it's unreasonable to assume that it won't be. Like, I don't know what the FTC are trying to get to do out of this, but it's completely unreasonable for them to think that there won't be some exclusivity coming out of this for some pretty popular IPs. Like, it will happen. So yeah, I don't know.
And I think Xbox know that. They know that, and there was a number of emails brought up throughout that showed kind of a bit of internal conflict about this thing. Matt Booty in an email thread was like, "There's no fucking way we're putting any of our content on, like, with the F-bomb. There's no way we're putting our content on other streaming services." And we now, that's now happening. So it does. There is a part of me, and that was in 2019, so that was a while back, and they grilled him on that. They were like, "What's this about then? How do we know you aren't going to pull everything as soon as we put the deal through?" That's kind of the angle that they're going for.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that is true, but it was 4 years ago, and the company philosophy has changed, which is a fair answer, because since then they've made big acquisitions, and there's an evidence of leaving Minecraft products on other platforms, leaving ESO, Fallout 76, and other platforms, stuff like that, and like the Quake remasters and other examples. I think they're remastering Fallout 4, that's coming out this year. That'll be on all platforms. But to my mind, there is a sense of like Xbox are being more diplomatic with multi-plat games than they actually are going to be. Like, they're going to make stuff more exclusive than they're going to, than they're letting on. That's my interpretation.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think at the moment they have to be quite aggressive with this sort of stuff. I feel to combat, PlayStation that are currently quite ahead of Xbox currently. So, I mean, again, I don't see any issue with it, right? The main concern here just keeps changing. It keeps shifting from the FTC's point of view. I don't get it. Like, it was all about COD and it was all about fighting for the consumer and all that sort of stuff. They seem to just don't give a shit about the consumer. It barely even gets brought up.
Don't hurt PlayStation.
Yeah,
don't do
exactly.
It.
That just
First
seems
console.
that just seems to be what it is. But it's just like, what do you mean by don't hurt them when they're quite far ahead of Xbox in the race currently and have been for such a long time? Like, what? Like, if you want to take that step and try and overtake PlayStation, aggressive moves are going to need to be made. Well, they expect them to just remain stagnant and beneath PlayStation. That's just the way it works. It's the hierarchy. Sorry, guys. Like, I don't understand. Like, moves have to be made. And yeah, I do think there will be some pretty aggressive exclusivity that comes out of it. But for the large players in it, you know, they've already stated that that's not shifting anytime soon. So I don't know, man. I just don't get what they want out of them. It's very weird. It's very weird to me. But
and that's not to say that this deal shouldn't go through a lot of scrutiny. Not like it hasn't already. It's been like fucking 18 months. 40 regulators have approved it and looked over it. You know, it's one of the. Is it the biggest acquisition in gaming history? I think there's one bigger from Tencent. I might be, or another, maybe Korean or Chinese company. I can't remember, but it's, you know, whatever. It's you know, one of the biggest, not just gaming, one of the biggest entertainment acquisitions ever.
yeah.
So yeah, fine. It needs a lot of scrutiny. But there is, you know, like you say, there is this kind of wider context of like, for a console to console level, Xbox was, you know, joined the race later, and struggled to kind of keep up. You know, they've been doing well enough. You know, they've been making profit, but they've struggled to kind of grow. And part of that is because of how aggressive PlayStation has been trying to kill them. You know, they're constantly going for the throat with these exclusivity deals. You know, right? Final Fantasy is tip of the iceberg, and then that's kind of snowballed because of the market share, and then the ease of how that's affected the dynamic with getting exclusivity deals. It's more expensive and less cost effective for Xbox to go out and make timed exclusivity or combat exclusivity deals from PlayStation. This feeds into the wider point that Phil said. We lost the console wars. He said it on the stand. He was like, we've lost the console wars. I mean, what's your thought on that, of Phil saying like we've lost the console wars? And you know, he obviously went on to describe that ABK isn't just about console. It's about mobile. It's about trying to support and energize cloud.
Yeah.
And PC. You know, it's trying to make an ecosystem.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks like that is the direction Xbox has been heading in for some time now, isn't it? You know, building an ecosystem. I do think there's an element of maybe, you know, pity us. We've lost it. You know, we've lost this. We're just trying to recoup in other areas. I do think he's playing. Yeah, exactly. I do think he's playing that card a little bit. But then it does feed into what Xbox have been doing and what they've been building into as their sort of new like philosophy moving into like the next generation and everything. So I think there's quite a lot of truth to that. Like I genuinely feel like that is the case. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's about it, to be honest. Seems reasonable. But yeah, I do think there's a bit of pity us in there as well, because they haven't lost the console war. Let's be real. The console war it's still going on, and Xbox are ramping up and up and up and up and up. So like, I don't understand. There's no reason why the market shift won't be in Xbox's favor in 10 years' time. Like there's no the race. It's a marathon. It's not a race. It hasn't been completed. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. Again, this is one of those, like, it's lawyer talk. Like, I am, you know, it's whatever, and the FTC know that, and the judge will see that. The judge will see that there is, you know, that it's like it's not quite clicking. Like I get the point, but it's not quite making sense. And it's another one of those examples where the courtroom drama happened, and the FTC lawyer decided he was going to try and be really smart about it. And he he was like, so you're third place, are you? And you're not expecting that this ABK deal is going to help you in console? And Phil said, no, I'm not expecting that it will take us out of third place.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, it wasn't when we put the deal together, it's not in the model that this is being used to escape third place in console. It's to expand in other areas. That's like obviously there's like the unsaid bit is that the byproduct of having big IPs, more big content, more big games that you can put on Game Pass that are on the console will probably affect the console. Overall, I think it's a fair point. Do you think that the market that's going to affect market share so much that they're going to get to second place maybe in the next 5 years? Probably not. Especially if they're keeping the big stuff multi-plat. You know, unless they have like back-to-back Activision, that is, you know, Activision or Blizzard have back-to-back several critically acclaimed big hits. I can't see it happen. So that's a fair point. And the FTC lawyer was like, "Oh, so it's consoles just a write-off, then, is it?" And you could tell that Phil was like just confused and pissed off. He was like, "I don't understand the question." And then the judge intervened.
Yeah.
Because the FTC lawyer was trying to imply, like, so you're just not doing anything about being third place, are you? You're just happy being third place. Which is missing the point, obviously, because it's this circular reasoning. It's like, I just told you the deal isn't for console, it's for something else. So yes, it has nothing to do with stuff, man. Courtroom. I hope they make a film about this one day. Who do you think would play Phil?
Brendan Fraser.
Yo, really? Do you know what? That's not a bad shout. That's not a bad shout. I was thinking like Mark Wahlberg.
Of course, everyone thinks Mark Wahlberg. It's what, Tom Holland playing Phil Spencer.
Yeah. Let's go. Maybe when he's older, you know, who knows? Bulk up a bit.
Yeah,
have a big Fraser, cheesy smile on him. Yeah. So there has been a little bit of like drama throughout, which I think is quite funny. And the funniest thing about them spending a day and a half on essentially trying to protect PlayStation, whether that's fair or not, is because the reason that's stupid is because 40 regulators across the world have said the console theory of harm is a load of shite. Like, we're not worried about that. Like, if there's anything to be concerned about, it's cloud. Even the CMA, who blocked the deal, reviewed the console theory of harm, and then provisionally they were like, we're going to pass it because we don't think it's a big deal. And then after reviewing, they were like, oh, actually, cloud could be a problem. So they dropped the console theory of harm. So why the FTC have spent so long hammering on this is beyond me, because beside anything else that's happened in this courtroom, the judge knows that 40 regulators around the world have decided, regulators who are more informed, arguably, you know, that's their specific job, than the FTC on these particular topics, have already said this isn't a problem. Such a waste of time. And the reason I think that they have focused on it is because they're more able to try to catch them in contradictions, because there's been such a big change in Xbox in the last 5 years with the acquisitions. Like, oh, look, here's an email where you said you weren't sure about exclusivity. That means you're lying, and that means you're lying about everything. Do you know what I mean? It's like a smear thing. They're trying to find something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're trying to find the smallest thing to blow it up and make it seem like something more than what it actually is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there was a really good example of that, because they found an email where they were talking about whether they should make Minecraft Legends exclusive or not.
Yeah.
And essentially they ran the numbers and thought, we're going to make more money if we do it multi-platform.
Yeah. Which is probably what will happen in a lot of cases.
Yeah. So, the big bombshell that Microsoft opened with, Tim, you're going to love this. You know about Jim Ryan?
Yeah.
You know about that guy? Who's playing Jim Ryan in the drama, by the way? What do we think? He's got a very particular. I think maybe like a slightly older Benedict Cumberbatch could do it because Jim Ryan's English.
mm, yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah, he did pop into my brain.
Maybe like Martin Freeman. Maybe a bit small. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, yeah, Martin Freeman. That's not a bad one. Yeah, I'd actually go with that one more than Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah.
Interesting. I would have gone with John Hurt if he was still with us. God rest his soul.
Yeah, Goris. So.
Oh, I've got it. Christopher Eccleston. You know who that is?
No,
That is a banging pick. He was in he was the first Doctor Who when they rebooted it, but he was also in what was the zombie one? 27 days later, 3 minutes later.
This guy.
One hamburger and a packet of crisps later. What was it called?
28 days later, and then 28 weeks later was the sequel.
That one. I think that's
okay.
good casting. I think he's.
That's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad. I like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Or even just the guy who plays. Nah. Yeah, no, I quite like both yours. To be fair, yeah, you're better at casting Jim Ryan. Definitely.
Fantastic. Well, the reason we bring this up is because flying, lying, spying, hiding, mayan,
Oh,
tying.
come on, man, you're eating up time. What's going on here?
Shying away from the answer. Pie in the sky in. Jim Ryan.
Yeah.
Had an email to him. There was an email. It's like, it's fucking, it's like Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton. Is like, what about his emails? You know,
Yeah.
And he had a fucking email that some rat and snake in the grass at PlayStation was willing to share. Probably got a big payout from Philly's cheesesteak himself.
Yeah.
That said, when the acquisition was announced, yeah, this is an exclusivity play. They're not going to take COD off PlayStation. We're going to be fine.
Really?
Thanks for wasting everyone's time. And even after opening with that, the FTC still wasted everyone's time with everything we've just spoken about, pressing the team about how they're worried COD's going to go exclusive and that Phil needs to fucking cross his fingers, hope to die, stick a needle in his eye that he's not going to take COD off PlayStation.
Oh my god, it just makes me realize just how slimy they actually are. Like, what is wrong with you? Are you trying to come off as a fucking snake, like some kind of reptile? I don't. God, it's just awful. It really is just awful. Like you said, it's just wasting everyone's time, and it's just like they just did this for the sake of delaying it and like creating an inconvenience, or well, and obviously just trying to block it if possible. But God's sake, man, I hate it. Bunch of fucking reptiles, dude.
Yeah. So weird. It's so weird that this whole time, and even like Jim, himself, they're going to do what's best for the company. I get it. But even PlayStation have been like, oh, fucking. You've got to give us more. You've got to promise COD's going to stay on PlayStation for more time.
Yeah.
Like they're going to take it away from us. And we need to get regulates involved.
So we can't hear you, Jim, over this weird lisp that you've got.
Oh, sorry, snake. I'm a snake in it.
Yeah, I'm a snake. Sorry, I'm a snake person. You discriminating against snake people.
Yeah. So that was probably the big thing that Xbox were able to present, even though it's all stupid anyway. There was one thing that the FTC, again, in the console theory of harm argument, which is already kind of a load of shit, because Xbox could make COD exclusive and PlayStation would still be fine. So everything else is kind of just gravy. But they had Pete Hines, again, I spoke about, I think, marketing community guy over at Bethesda, testified that Indiana Jones was going to be multi-platform, but after the acquisition went through, Xbox went back to Disney, renegotiated the deal, and now it is an Xbox PC exclusive, which is a bit. It's a hitter. The FTC got what they want, but it still doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. They got the tester. They got the comment that Xbox will change whether they think something is going to be multi-platform or exclusive.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure all gaming companies do at some point along the lines, like we just spoke about with Minecraft Legends.
Yeah, they rethink it. Yeah.
So that was probably the only W that the FTC got across the whole thing, which, like I said, in the grand scheme of things, is still not important because that's not Indiana Jones being exclusive is not going to kill PlayStation.
No. Yeah, it was a W for them. It's also a W for us because we now know
It is.
this shit's fucking real and exclusive, and yeah, let's
That's
go.
pretty big, yeah.
Let's go.
And I'm just going to pin that for a minute because I want that to kind of be a closing conversation to wrap everything up. Whole Indiana Jones exclusivity thing. Because that is kind of a big deal. the secret showcase, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think there was anything meaningful gleamed from the conversation around mobile. They spent like half a day on mobile and then just a little bit on cloud, of which the evidence is already there that they're sharing some games on cloud, and the cloud is kind of nascent and it's not really. They're taking a loss on it at the moment. They want to grow it, but it doesn't seem like it's quite working out at the moment.
Yeah.
So the other thing, one of the things, and this is the closing points on the FTC before we come around to Indiana Jones, is that one of the ways that Phil framed something was that he said, we make multi-platform games for PlayStation, and then PlayStation use that money to pay publishers to keep games off Xbox. And that is not a model we can continue to work in because we have, and that mostly happens because we are in last place. It's like death by a thousand cuts. We're bleeding out because the smaller our market share is, the easier that stuff is to happen.
Yeah.
And it was rumored a while back, but Phil had then said we had heard internally Sony were looking, after having already locked down Deathloop and Ghostwire, they were looking to lock down Starfield as well.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's very, it's interesting, and yeah, no, I completely agree, because if you're losing the race or lost the race or whatever, however they tend to put it, yeah, negotiating these exclusivity deals, these timed exclusivity, is a lot easier for PlayStation, and they're so much more likely to go into a contract with PlayStation rather than Xbox, even if, like, for example, they both made the same deal, or Xbox is even slightly sweeter. They're going to take the console that's more popular, that's going to get more downloads, more clicks, whatever. So yeah, the only way to compete is to just outright just own these IPs, and then do with them what you will. Yeah, no, I think that makes complete sense, and I feel like that is the situation that Xbox have kind of been, backed into. It is a corner that they've been backed into, and kind of the only route out. I agree. So what else do you want them to do? I get that this is on a huge scale, like it's a very big acquisition. You don't necessarily need to start like doing stuff like this. I get that, but like this format of purchasing studios and like larger like companies or whatever is something, that's how they have to do it. Yeah.
Definitely. And it reminds me of when they first made the Bethesda acquisition, and a lot of the vagueness that we got, kind of, will games be exclusive or will they not, and kind of why that was. Firstly, it feels like a bit of covering your back for future regulators. Secondly, they kind of didn't know yet maybe what they wanted to keep exclusive and what they didn't want to.
Mm.
But thirdly, it genuinely wasn't part of the model. It's genuinely not part of the model to make stuff exclusive. It's just that they want, and Phil said this along the lines at the time, and I remember thinking that's a bit of a interesting answer. He said, like, this is about securing content so it doesn't get taken away from Xbox or something to that effect. You know, and I remember thinking, oh, that's a really interesting answer.
Yeah.
You know. And
Just-
obviously, along the lines, they are deciding game to game based on what the revenue is, you know, introduction to the ecosystem, what the overall net profit is, what will be exclusive. But it wasn't like we're going to require Bethesda to make everything Bethesda exclusive. It's a content play. It's more like we're creating a moat or an island, I think, you know,
Yeah.
so that we can't be attacked because it's our content. You know, they can't take it away from us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not necessarily, bind it to them and them only, but you know, just make sure it reaches both platforms rather than being bunny hatted for Sony only. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, I agree.
So it did, you know, it's flared up the console wars. Twitter's alight, you know. Oh, Sony was going to do it first. They were going to buy PlayStation, Starfield exclusivity.
Mm.
Oh, well, you know, them buying the publisher's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same as a money hat. That's only a year, maybe longer, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years.
Maybe
Not the
infinite.
same, you know. Maybe infinite.
Yeah, it's an infinite amount of years. Let's be real.
Until we say so. Until we fucking say so.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else, but I think we're pretty much at the end there. Oh, this was the only other funny thing. The FTC was like trying to catch them out on how they're going to monopolize game streaming and cloud. And they were like, you know, they spent like 10 minutes massaging this point and building up to it. And they were like, so is it correct to assert that a Windows license is needed to stream PC games? And Sarah Bond was like, no, you can stream them without Windows license. You can stream it anywhere.
Just instantly shut it down. I love that.
You could have Googled that.
Yeah.
You could have fucking Googled that. Like, that isn't like some in-depth thing you like. I know that.
Yeah. That's hilarious, dude. I love that.
And that was kind of the feeling for the whole trial.
Well, they just don't really know what they're talking about, and it's just they seem like they're a bit out of their depth. Yeah.
Yes, no doubt. Like, I genuinely think that the Xbox management that they brought up, Sarah Bond, Matt Booty, Phil Spencer, would have done a better job at prosecuting. They are very knowledgeable. They're very informed on gaming law, things like that. Oh, and that was the other thing. Their last Hail Mary was that they called someone from Google Stadia who used to work at Google Stadia.
Okay.
And they were like, he was their witness. So the FTC were like, got this in the bag. This is going to be another W. And he comes up and he's like, yeah. So basically, he tries to make the point that it's really hard to get into the gaming landscape because there's so many acquisitions going on. You know, Google being Google. Oh, we didn't fail. Xbox and PlayStation buying shit made it hard. That wasn't why they brought him to the stage. That wasn't the point that the FTC was hoping he would make. Because what he then went on to say was, or the judge asked him, so did you feel like you were in competition then with Xbox and PlayStation, you would say? And it was like, yeah, we felt that we were in competition with them.
Okay.
That, of course, breaks the whole argument, because what the FTC and the CMA are trying to argue is that the cloud is its own market. It has no overlap with the console market. It's its own thing, which Xbox have a pure monopoly on at the moment, you know, ignoring or they potentially have a content monopoly that could accrue. Xbox has been arguing the whole time that not only is cloud not big, it overlaps. Like people aren't typically going to buy a game on Stadia and then buy it again on on Xbox. Same with the Switch, by the way, even though they're trying to make the argument that the Switch operates in its own low spec market, you know.
Bullshit.
So he said that, and the judge, you know, you could tell the judge wasn't anticipating that sort of that was because it broke the whole argument. It broke the FTC's argument that Xbox could be a dominant force in cloud if they ever did make Call of Duty exclusive to their service because it's its own market and there's no competition with it. But of course, like we just said, if someone's buying it, they're not going to buy it again on another. So there is an overlap of market there. Which was really funny because that was how they closed the whole 2-day session.
That's such an L.
It's such an L, yeah.
Yeah. But the fattest L they could have got. Like, did they not go over this? Like, surely they would have like gone over this with the witness they brought in and be like, this is what you need to say, like kind of rehearse it, you know, dance across these lines, you know, within reason. Like, what? I just don't understand, man. They seem so unprepped and they just don't really know what they're talking about. So odd.
Well, the judge just knew what to ask. Like, the judge is no shit. Like, she's asking the right questions, and obviously, again, under oath. So, you know, she asked him, "Did you think you were in competition with?" Like, I understand that you feel you were pushed out because of big acquisitions, but that's not really the problem. Everyone's making big acquisitions across big tech at the moment. The problem we're trying to figure out is cloud so in such a vacuum that it could grow into something uncontrollable and unmanageable, and he essentially said no when she pressed him because he felt the Stadia was in competition with the consoles.
Yeah,
shattered the whole thing.
That's great.
It wasn't a good 2 days for the FTC, I would say. It's looking quite good for Xbox. That's my interpretation.
That's hilarious. I love that.
So, before we swing on to our final topic, everybody, thanks for sticking with us so far. Would really love it if you could like the video. If you're not subscribed already, please do that. If you really want to go one step further and support the channel, share us on Twitter. You know, tell us what stupid thing we said. Tell us what you fucking thought was funny, what you liked, you know, what our coverage of. That'd be really good. We'd really appreciate that. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So, final closing thing then. The whole Indiana Jones thing. This is exciting, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah.
I wanted to raise a couple of points on that. The first is that I'm really happy that they did that. I'm really happy they went back and negotiated, because what that tells me is either A, Xbox do have a vested interest in making popular, you know, pop IP, quote unquote, content exclusive to their ecosystem, which is, you know, maybe that's a little bit, but more so the more casual crowd on the Xbox platform. And the second,
it's a banger
point, that it overlaps with the community's kind of desires for the platform. It's kind of some feedback that the community has been given for a while. Like, we want you to have some bigger IPs, some bigger licenses, to draw people in and get people talking, maybe in the same way Spider-Man does.
Yeah.
So at best, they believe that exclusive content is still important. At worst, they're listening to the community, and I think that's good. I'm not sure old Xbox would have bothered going back to renegotiate that, but they went out their way to be like, nope, we want this exclusive. This is going to be a big deal in uptake.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think it's I think it's a good thing that they did that. Yeah, in terms of just owning larger IPs that, you know, you can make multiple games out of, franchise out of. Like, I definitely could see this. I know this is a pretty like ridiculous statement, but it definitely gives the vibe that this could be like Xbox's like Uncharted, right? Like a multiple game franchise, similar sort of vibe, you know, maybe a bit more whimsical and stuff like that, but like it definitely seems like it could fall into that category. And that's a huge IP for PlayStation. and it's something I feel like Xbox could use as well, especially in the single player market. To have like, they got Gears, they got like all these sort of like shooter um single player games and stuff like that, but we don't have many sort of, yeah, if you get what I mean. It's like a different sort of vibe. It's a different sort of like category of single player games. And yeah, no, I think it's a huge win, and I think it's a really good grab. I think you can do a lot with this, and I think it's quite a popular sort of like style that people could resonate with based off, hey, this kind of reminds me of Uncharted, right? Like that's going to go through people's head, and I think people will like resonate with it and actually give it a chance more so than if Uncharted didn't exist, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And as well, I'm actually quite excited to see Machine Games' interpretation of Indiana Jones. I think we're kind of, the new one just came out, didn't it? Dial of Destiny, and it hasn't been reviewed all that well. But I think we're kind of moving out of the Harrison Ford era of Indiana Jones, and I'm interested to see what they do with Indiana Jones once Harrison Ford can no longer. He's like mid-70s. Do you know what I mean? It's surprised he's still going. So I mean,
Yeah.
I doubt they're going to give up the IP. Get Bradley Cooper in as a new Indiana Jones. I don't know. So I'm interested to see what their interpretation of this character is going to be. I assume they're not going to go for a Harrison Ford lookalike. They're just going to go for their own thing in the same way Insomniac did.
Yeah. And would it be like a young Indiana Jones? Yeah, like quite young rather than starting in quite old. Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Like the Uncharted film. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. It's a big deal, this. Yeah. I think it could be pretty cool.
No, it is. It is. And I suppose like the question here, well, we've spoken about for a while, like what does this kind of look like? Machine Games, obviously known mostly as a first-person shooter studio, making Wolfenstein. What are they doing here? And there are some like rumors swirling around at the moment that it's both, not in the same way that Starfield is, but maybe in the way that trying to think of an example. I was going to say COD, but it's really not COD. But what I more mean is that, let's say, some of the game is, or the main game is like third person, but then you go into first person sections where like you're in a helicopter and you're shooting the chain gun, or you're on a cannon, but you're shooting cannon, but at first person. Do you know what I mean? So it's like there are on rail sections that are first person.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. I mean, realistically speaking, yeah, like you say, it's being made by Machine Games, only do first person stuff. The game, like we have no details on it, right? Like you don't know if the game primarily is third person, first person, or anything like that, do we? Not yet. Or do we?
No, we don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
No, all we know is that Todd Howard is overseeing it. They did like a little tease when it was first announced in 2021. Yeah, we don't know anything else.
Third person action adventure. Yeah.
Yeah, it would feel a bit odd, wouldn't it, for the whole game to be a first person shooter?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But at the same time, could Machine Games make it work? I don't know.
Only time will tell. But there's definitely the fact that you can scratch your head and think it can work in these multiple scenarios just shows how like flexible it can be, right? And like how much potential there is with it, right? So yeah, it's exciting, man. Yeah.
The only really bit of insight that I can give here that I think is like useful, just because I'm making the link now, is that I remember when. So this is Xbox's maybe second collaboration with Disney.
Yeah.
Oh wait, am I being stupid? Indiana Jones is Lucasfilm, isn't it? It's LucasArts, not Disney.
I think so.
Or are they one and the same now? I'm very confused. Star Wars is Disney now, isn't it?
Yeah. So they're one and the same. Yeah.
Yeah, they are one and the same. Okay. And I remember I watched some of the teams, like the Sea of Thieves team, after doing Pirates of the Caribbean, and they said that when we were collaborating with them, they wanted it to be like reflective of a ride at Disney World. You know, like you'd go through these sections and these things would happen and these fun characters would talk to you and then you do these fun things. And you know, for the most part, that was really well received, and a lot of people did describe it that way. Like, it feels like you really are going through the Pirates of the Caribbean exhibition at Disneyland, and that makes me think it's going to be the same here. They're going to want the game, maybe 15-20 hour game, to reflect like a, you know, set pieces, you know, set piece kind of like going on an Indiana Jones ride. What would that look like? You know, you'd go through, you'd use your whip, you'd speak to some fun characters, you'd find a relic, and oh no, it's gonna suck all the blood out of you. Gotta shoot Nazis now, stuff like that, you know.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. That was quite a weird tangent you just went on, and yeah, I kind of lost you, but
it's okay.
Yeah,
you're ready to wrap up. That's fine.
I feel like you could do a lot with like yeah, like just like the temples, right? Puzzles and shit like that, like, and traps and everything like that. I feel like you could make it quite reminiscent of even like Zelda, like sort of temples and puzzles and everything like that. Yeah, like I feel like you could there's a lot of directions you could take with this.
No doubt. The final thing I wanted to close on here was not necessarily thinking about what Indiana Jones is going to look like, but how important is it? Indiana Jones, bit of a fading IP. Not to say it's small by any means, but I've got Google Trends up right now, Tim, and I'm like kind of looking worldwide. And I've got Indiana Jones in. Give me some other pop IPs that maybe we could look at by comparison. I just want to get a sense of where it's at.
Well, what do you mean? What's something like Marvel, or is that too big?
Yeah, maybe I'll pop Spider-Man in as well. I think I can do 4 at once.
Maybe.
Let's do past 12 months. Maybe Star Wars?
Yeah, maybe something like Witcher, maybe.
Interesting. Would that be The Witcher? I don't really know.
Yeah.
The Witcher TV series? What does that do?
Or
Interesting.
Stranger Things, something like that. I don't know.
I guess I'm thinking about stuff that's more game related. I know they have that Telltale game. I understand what you're saying. But like, just I've just put, I can only do 5, so I've done 5. I've done Indiana Jones, Harry Potter, Spider-Man, Star Wars, and The Witcher. On average, out of all of them, Indiana Jones places a bit above The Witcher, but below everything else. I'm looking at the last 12 months on the trend line. Not massively below everything else, apart from Spider-Man, which has spiked in the last month because of across the Spider-Verse. But otherwise, Spider-Man is lower than you might think. It's generally lower than Star Wars, and Harry Potter has remained higher than everything else up until the last month, where Star Wars has spiked and Spider-Man has spiked.
Okay.
So I think we can. Those are kind of the expectations. I think we can go into it when we're thinking about the impact of a Indiana Jones Xbox exclusive. I don't think it's quite going to permeate the market in the same way Indiana Jones did, where people who don't really play games would play a Harry Potter game.
Yeah.
I do think it pushes a bit further into something like a low-level Spider-Man, where someone who maybe has heard of Indiana Jones, watches all the films, might be quite interested.
Yeah.
And know who Indiana Jones is.
Yeah.
Just thought that'd be a bit of fun. See how that's stacked up.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Tim, let's hit the button. Let's hit the jingle. Let's wrap this bad boy up and get along with our Sundays.
Yeah, let's do it. Jingling.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us here in the chat. I know I can see a lot of good conversation went on there, and there's a lot to speak about, and I wanted us to kind of wrap up before the 2-hour mark. So sorry if we didn't get to as many chats. If you've got anything outlying that you want to say to me, just tweet it out to me. You can see Twitter in the description below. Likewise, if you're listening after the live streaming and you've got anything you want to talk about further, come to us on Twitter. Come to us next week. We'll generally be streaming at 2 p.m. BST. Other than that, take care. Next week, the final will be the final hearing for the ABK case. I don't know when we hear about the outcome, but Thursday is the final hearing.
Okay.
And then this nightmare can all be over, I hope.
Yes, I hope so.
Thank you for your time.
I hope we just get a yes or a no and we're done with it. But yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yes, goodbye everyone. Have a good Sunday. Drink lots of water
Goodbye,
if it's
everyone.
hot where you are. It's important.
Yes.
Very
Don't drink it if it's cold, though.
Yeah, just there's no point. Science isn't there.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.